Although the next Heisman ceremony isn't for 11 months, it's never too early to start looking ahead. Today, I'm going to be sharing my way too damn early Heisman top 10 for the 2023 college football season. Before we get to today's video, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are that you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel. So make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. I'm posting college football videos all off season, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. These aren't going to be in any particular order, but let's just say I'm starting with the players who I think have the highest odds of taking home the Heisman next season. Although he won the Heisman this past year, Caleb Williams is going to be the best quarterback in college football next season. Sure, he's losing some weapons, but he'll be adding some as well. This past season, Williams threw for over 4,500 yards with 42 passing touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. He also added 400 yards on the ground with 10 rushing scores. It's going to be tough for him to win the Heisman again next year, as he's likely going to have an even better campaign next season and improve his numbers across the board. With that being said, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if his numbers are even better in 2023. Another quarterback who's going to be lighting up the stat sheet next season is going to be North Carolina quarterback Drake Maye. There were rumors he'd be entering the transfer portal this offseason, but he opted to remain with North Carolina. This past year, Maye was named the ACC Player of the Year after emerging as one of the top quarterbacks in the entire country. He threw for 4,300 yards with 38 passing touchdowns, while also rushing for 700 yards with 7 rushing scores. If I were to guess, I think it's a pretty safe bet to assume he's going to finish top 5 in passing yards and passing touchdowns next season. The GOAT gets to play for one more season, as Bo Nix announced he'd be returning to Oregon. For some reason, Bo Nix somehow didn't finish in the top 10 for Heisman voting this past season. Now, I get him maybe not being a finalist, although you could have argued he should have been. But the fact he didn't finish inside the top 10 in voting is just wrong. He was one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football last season and somehow managed to fly under the radar. He completed 72% of his passes, which led the Pac-12 and was the second best in the entire country. He threw for 3,600 yards with 29 passing touchdowns. Meanwhile, on the ground, he was one of the top quarterbacks in all of the FBS. He rushed for over 500 yards with 14 rushing touchdowns. His 14 rushing scores were the second most in the entire Pac-12. Overall for the season, Nix finished 7th in the country in passing efficiency rating, 4th in total yards per play, 10th in total yards, and 5th in total touchdowns. I still have one final shot at seeing Bo Nix take home the Heisman Trophy, something that I truly believe we can make happen. We have our first non-quarterback on this list, and it's Ohio State wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, he's a name to keep an eye on next season, as he's going to be the best wide receiver in all of college football. This past season for the Buckeyes, he caught 77 passes for nearly 1,300 yards with 14 touchdowns. He was 3rd in the Big Ten in receptions, 2nd in receiving yards, and 1st in touchdowns. I don't think it's crazy at all to expect him to post even better numbers in 2023. We have another quarterback who opted to return for one more season in Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. After a career year for the Huskies, he's going to be back for one final shot. In his first season at Washington, Penix Jr. led the Pac-12 and was 2nd in the country in passing yards with nearly 4,700. He also threw 31 passing touchdowns, the second most in the conference. Penix also led the Pac-12 in completions with 361, the 4th most in the entire country. Washington emerged as one of the better teams in all of college football last season, and it was largely due to the play of Penix Jr. If he's able to light up the stat sheet once again and guide Washington to another double-digit win season, he could be yet another Pac-12 Heisman winning quarterback. A quarterback who really flew under the radar in 2022 was Florida State quarterback Jordan Travis. Quietly, he and the Noles put together a really solid campaign. Last season, Travis threw for 3,200 yards with 24 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. He also added 400 yards on the ground with 7 rushing scores. It was the second half of the season in which he really took his game to the next level. Over his final 6 games, Travis threw for 1,500 yards with 13 passing touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. During that run, Florida State went 6-0 as well. Pro Football Focus ranked Travis 6th nationally among Power 5 quarterbacks in overall grade. while ESPN's QBR rating placed him number 7th in the country. It wasn't the season we were expecting from him in 2022, but he's still one of the more talented quarterbacks in the entire country. Quinn Ewers should be back at the helm for Texas next season. In 10 games this past year, he threw for only 2,200 yards with 15 passing touchdowns. He showed flashes of why he's one of the more highly touted quarterback recruits of all time. But there were also spurts in which he didn't look the part at all. But with that being said, I'm banking on him figuring things out and having a much better 2023 season. After a very impressive career at Wake Forest, Sam Hartman transferred to Notre Dame, where he'll be one of the better quarterbacks for the Irish in quite some time. We weren't even sure if Sam Hartman was going to play in 2022. But not only did he play, he had a season almost as good as the one he had in 2021. This past season, he threw for 3,700 yards with 38 passing touchdowns. During his time at Wake Forest, Hartman threw for 13,000 yards with 110 passing touchdowns and 17 rushing scores. Now you take that and add it to a really good Notre Dame team, the Irish are going to be a fun one to watch in 2023. Clemson quarterback Cade Klubnik has the least experience of anyone on today's list, but he should become more of a household name in 2023. When he saw significant action in the ACC title game, he threw for 300 yards with 2 total touchdowns while completing 85% of his passes. Things didn't go great for him in the Orange Bowl, as he threw 2 interceptions and looked pretty bad. With that being said, he still finished the game with nearly 400 yards of total offense. With a full offseason under his belt, Klubnik has a chance to emerge as yet another great all-time Clemson quarterback. We'll wrap up today's video with LSU quarterback Jayden Daniels, who recently announced he'll be returning for one more season. He impressed me this past year, as he did a lot better than I was expecting. He completed 69% of his passes while throwing for 3,000 yards with 17 passing touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. On the ground, Daniels rushed for nearly 1,000 yards with 11 rushing scores. LSU is going to be even better next season, and Daniels is still one of the top dual-threat quarterbacks in all of college football. Well, that wraps it up for today's Way Too Early Heisman Top 10. Who do you think has the best shot of winning the Heisman Trophy next season? Also, if there was a player that didn't crack my top 10 who you think has a shot at winning the Heisman, let me know who it is in the comment section down below. Before you leave, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you love college football, this is definitely the place for you. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm posting college football videos all off season, so make sure to subscribe if you call yourself a college football fan. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.